Oh my God, it's such a joy to be here. You know, when actually the moderator said that, how many of you believe that India is a rising star and there are opportunities? Only 5, 6 hands went up. So I must say that the men over here are actually going to ensure that India will be the land of opportunity where hospitality is concerned. So today, all the questions are going to be regarding 2023. Why are we saying that it's a rising star? So US is going through recession, Europe, recession. We've got the Russia and the Ukraine war happening. But India, like Mr. Rahul Pandit mentioned, you know, we're still talking about 6.8% growth, 7% growth. What is it going to be? So when you look at all of that, and plus, of course, let's not forget, we've just come out of the pandemic. It's an endemic now. It's in the rear view mirror. But many things have happened. Many things have happened in this industry. Quite a bit, right? Digitization. And we all know that in hospitality, digitization means cost. So we're always playing catch up. We're always playing catch up. Then we've got manpower. Right. So I think that's one challenge I've been hearing about since the morning today. And of course, you know, we've got a lot of change in terms of sustainability, which we will talk about. So the gentlemen over here that we have today, they are going to tell us that how will 2023 be successful. So I'm going to start with manpower. And I have a question, and this is a question actually not just for the panel, this is for everybody. What age group do you consider young? Now, I agree, I still think we all are young. We are definitely young. But when you look at all industries, when we say young generation or Gen Z, what age group would that be? We all agree that it's all within their 20s or very early 30s, right? So my question to the gentleman over here is, and I can see Javed has already picked up the mic. So Javed, we will start with you, right? He's very passionate about Gen Z. How is it as an industry in 2023? How are we going to make this industry attractive to Generation Z? We're talking problems. I don't want to talk problems. We're going to talk solutions now. How will we make it attractive for Gen Z?
Okay, thanks, Monisha, for that. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Anshu, and the ladies in that panel for filling up the hall for us.
Yes.
And also, Monisha, you, thank you very much. You know, the reason I picked it up was I had a definition. And it came as a realization, you know, the first time I realized I was recruiting people who were younger than my son. So, you know, I would say that was my definition. Then I'd say that, you know, mid-20s or less than that is probably Gen Z or whatever you call them. I think, you know, my son's over 30 now, and that gives away my vintage. But also, you know, I still get the sense that the mindset is similar, if not the same. I think level of patience may be declining. And I think expectation of reward is even more instantaneous. So these are the things. I say that, you see, whether it's, I like to answer it a little differently. I'd say that whether it's ladies or gentlemen, or whether it's the age, I think it's capability that one is looking for first as a recruiter. Whether to make it attractive and how to make it attractive for youngsters, I'd say that, and now I'm speaking from personal experience, you know, and I say that what matters is we will not appeal to everybody. We will appeal to a certain group. And, you know, of course, as was expected even in my case, you know, like my father, that I'd be a doctor. And lo and behold, I wasn't. Or I'd be an engineer like my uncles, and that also didn't happen. So I think you have to look at a set of people for whom a hospitality career is a viable option. It may be one of several. So you can easily get disenchanted if you were aiming at something and you didn't get it. But within what is possible, the realm of possibility, I think that it's our responsibility. If somebody's in a hotel school, first of all, you know, right at that level, or perhaps even he's not going into hotel school, coming straight into the hotels, I'd love to speak to. And I think it was discussed in a panel earlier, and Mr. Kachru with HAI, interacting with students and with youngsters who are prospective colleagues. I think we need to set the tone in terms of expectations and aspirations, managing the aspirations of this generation as to what to expect, what you will get. And, there is a stage in every career that it starts becoming fulfilling and rewarding. In initial phase, everybody thinks they make a terrible mistake. And I'm not talking only about hoteliering. Wherever you join, you pay your dues. And my father talks about people who fainted, at the dissection class when he was, studying to be a doctor. So, and of course, do they work hard? Of course, we've seen that. I was laid up in hospital just last year in COVID. And I must say, those doctors were working as hard as any of us in probably even more stringent set of hazmat suits and whatever.
Yeah.
So that's my sense.
Javed, my question is, like, we all know that today hotel management schools are not going full. Children aren't joining, right? My question here is that I remember many years back when, I joined the hotel industry, and 30 years to be precise, right? And there was a purpose, or at least I felt there was a very strong sense of purpose, right? I still remember, I see Miss Ragini Chopra here. She hired me, and there was this big sense of, pride. My question today over here to all of you is, what is that purpose? Are we able to communicate that to this younger generation, to this Gen Z? And Gaurav, you have 40 hotels, which you lead, right, in South and East and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. What is it that you're doing to create this purpose? Anything that you're seeing your brand do?
So Monisha, thank you. Good afternoon again, Javed. I think you kicked it off in a manner where you tried to address the team and everyone in the audience to say that the purpose is something that we today desire our youngsters to have, the Gen Zs to have. I think it's two-sided. I feel that as an industry, as a hotelier myself, as a company with Marriott International, we need to do a lot more than we are doing to attract the right talent. At the same time, we need to communicate what we expect out of our individuals who join us. We need to be able to give them a direction in terms of a path forward. I think people join companies or jobs or other people that they work for largely because they are looking for growth. And I think that matter of growth is something that needs to be defined for the youngsters. At the same time, I also feel that the younger generation today is at a cusp where, less is more. They don't really own too much. They wish to live asset light, so to speak. And in that generation, it's important for them to be able to define what works for them. Where is it that they relate to their day-to-day, interactions? And for that to be meaningful actually makes it very organic in the relationship.
Right. No, thank you. Thank you, Gaurav. Yes, Vishvapreet.
So good afternoon. I'd just like to add to what Gaurav was saying. It's very important for us to, when we interact with the younger generation, these young minds, we need to, from a hospitality point of view, create that impression of this is a career that they would want to stick to. It is a career. This industry is to be positioned to them in such a manner that they want to grow within this in this institution. Having said that, from a brand perspective or from us as the operators, it is very important to have that connect with them, right? Are we doing enough to go to these hotel schools and connecting with them? Are we doing enough to reach out to them? More often than not, we expect them to apply to us. Actually, it is the other way around. We should be reaching out to them and letting them know that this is a career that they should look at. From our brand point of view, I'd like to submit here that we've got something called an IHG Academy, right? So we have reached out to institutions. We've tied up with them. We collaborate with them, and we've created this element of providing IHG skill sets so that they see growth. So the point that he was trying to make, to create that growth path, it is important for us to communicate that to them. And definitely you will have that interest from them.
Yeah, fabulous. Thank you so much. So Aman, any changes in the talent management, in the talent practices that ITC that we'll be able to see in 2023?
Yes, absolutely. So good afternoon, everybody. I think adding on from what everybody has said here, we have a program called the Employers of Choice. And our objective is that ITC Hotels becomes an employer of choice for the young graduates from the hotel management school. And that starts right when we select these young kids who come to us for industrial training. They undergo a very intensive induction program, which is a direct interaction with heads of departments and the unit leadership. In addition to that, we have monthly high teas with these people where it's only the general manager who's present, so that there is an unbiased and without any kind of fear of backlash, transparent interaction on what the training experience has been, so that we could take corrective action if anything is going on. Because at the end of the day, these young children are at an impressionable mind about the industry, and they work with all kinds of people who may teach them the wrong things or show them the wrong side of the industry who are working with you. And like they say, grass is always greener on the other side. So the kids may say that, fine, this is not where I want to be. So I think this Employers of Choice is one such program where we have invested heavily, and this is monitored by the corporate office, where at the end of their training, they send us sealed feedback, which goes straight to the corporate office, where it is collated, reviewed, so that if anything is required to be done at the unit, it is done.
No, thank you so much. Gaurav, you want to add something?
Yeah, Monisha, what I want to say to Aman's point, I think as an industry, we also need to do more in being able to communicate to the young generation to say, listen, we are the employer of choice, right? And what we're tending to do very often is to say that there are these many hardships when you join hospitality. That's been the
Absolutely.
message over the years.
Yeah.
I think the message today needs to be about what the industry can give us, what the future holds, what it has given many of us sitting in this room, how it gives dignity at work today. And I think Javed was talking
Javed
about that when
mentioned,
we were
yeah.
coming into this session. And for me, I think the important message is to be able to share that with the youngsters, to say that there is truly a future. And it's not about, I think we've all alluded to the fact that there are hardships in any industry when you begin your journey, but the message needs to change from the hardships to the betterment of what dignity one can have at work.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you so much. I think it's so important because at the end of the day, it's not just the Gen Z employee that we have, it's also the customer. Today, when they've become younger. But I completely agree, Gaurav, with what you said. You know, every industry, whichever industry you go to, you want to be successful, you work late hours, right? I think somewhere we have just kept talking a lot about it, but there's so much that I've seen every brand has done in terms of also making it attractive for Gen Z. So yeah, thank you. Well, now since we've got all the operators over here, so I guess the next question is definitely going to be about food and beverage. You know, so we have actually, I think it was, the last 2 years were tough. The last 2-3 years were really tough. And food and beverage, my God, it's shown, right? We kind of came out of the pandemic where F&B, we saw a lot of innovation. We saw a lot of stuff happen with food and beverage. Now, my question to you is that in the F&B domain, 2023, what can we expect? How is it that, my first question will be, and out of the four, whoever would like to answer it first, is that how does your brand intend to make your hotels a culinary destination? Or do you really want to do that also, is the question.
I think it's important for every brand. Each brand puts a high value to food and beverage in their hotels today. Everyone looks at it differently, but some trends which are becoming more and more popular and becoming something that is going to stay in the future. I believe sustainability is a big piece which is going to be in and is already there and needs to continue to grow. And it's not just in the food and beverage space, it's in the whole space. And I'm sure we can spend hours talking about sustainability. But at the same time, I think there's a very clear, consciousness growing in our customers about how they approach a restaurant. If you see wastefulness, if you see too much of opulence today in the sense of wasting food, I don't think that goes down too well. So you need to see that come into our day-to-day work. These large over-opulent buffets have already changed,
Right.
and they're moving into more interactive, experiences. I think experiences on the whole is going to remain in food and beverage. You touched upon it, and we were talking about it just before we came here. There are standalones which do extremely well, and I think those standalones are going to come inside hotels, and they already are, because they are more nimble and they're more adaptable, and they can move faster than hotels move at their pace. And we need to really acknowledge that and move at that pace as well. Because if we remain that, oh, we're going to change a restaurant after 7 years when is the cycle of renovation, then it's going to be not the best thing to happen in our space. So I feel that if you look at these 3-4 things, I think sustainability, wastefulness to be removed. On the other hand, look at how we can bring in the elements of this adaptability and change to be faster. These are trends that will remain in 23.
Right. Anything?
Yeah, my sense is, of course, we went and, like everybody, decided to try and take our restaurants to the people, and that got the cash flows going. In terms of the prominence of food and beverage for our group, the Radisson Hotel Group, it ranges between 40 to 50% of top line. And in many cases, the demand driver is located inside the hotel in the shape of its banquet spaces. And I would not have imagined the hotels being successful or feasible even, coming from the old mindset that I had of location. And I think that size of hall and its attraction and its novelty, let's put it that way even, new place, you open it and it attracts the no holds barred experience of weddings where everybody saves up and then wants to go beyond, and turn out something that's as a host is memorable, and it's our responsibility to do that. So that's so in terms of what we do, I think there are viable and very interesting options outside hotels, and I don't think we need to fight them. I think we need to encourage, and I think it's part of the experience of going to certain places and visiting certain places, going outside the hotel even. And I know that certain hotel companies are large-hearted and wise enough to suggest that, go and have a drink there or have a meal there. And by the way, my hotel also has this. So we have several iconic restaurants. In fact, the hotel that I ran near the airport was synonymous with the Great Kebab Factory, still is, and has got some very interesting F&B options. Nyong Roy, the Thai restaurant, which was more or less a diktat from the ownership, and I had to make it interesting. And that's another story. And it is critical in commercial success. Other than that, we have our hotels in the Radisson Blue MBD, Noida, always been innovative about food and beverage. Down south, strategic partners, GRT, Radisson Blue, who have doubled their size, by the way, and also, have some fabulous brands. Apart from that, we've stepped away from traditional restaurant banquet type business and gone into, if you like, Meetha, which is a brand name, Meetha by Radisson, which is the traditional Indian sweets, which we started off in the pandemic and work on. There are 2 hotels that are authorized to produce Meetha, and it's ratified by the corporate exec chef himself. Rakesh Sethi was here on stage yesterday. To qualify to then retail this, and it's very stylized, very nice, very genuine, and you can be proud of it. But we realized that it works in a retail space, so in Bombay, and now we are thinking, and you can't help thinking that for the same space, square feet area, return per square feet, whether you'd have a retail space from here to where Mr. Puri is sitting, as large as that, and yielding much more than a restaurant. So that's the other thing. So these are the interesting things, apart from stand-up, pop-ups, as they call them, and inviting restaurants into your hotels in certain locations where there's nothing else around there, especially in our resorts.
So, this brings me to another question, which, again, Amaan or Vishvapreet. Food and beverage, right? I mean, when you look at standalone restaurants or you look at chains, which are not in hotels, do you feel they're more adaptable, they adapt faster, they're more agile than our own F&B? especially restaurants. And what I mean by this is, I do understand that when you're looking at your marketing budgets and stuff, we look at spending it on rooms, we look at spending it on banquets, spas, there's so many things, right? Whereas with standalones and plus technology, there's so much of tech in the last 2-3 years that we've seen, right? We've done a lot, delivery apps, there's so much that we've done. But do you feel we're as agile and we adapt fast?
Okay, so let me answer this in two parts. One is on the tech front, and the other one is the adaptability front. So on a tech front, our brand, we already have analytical tools that actually provide us with the insights of what is the revenue being generated, even to the extent of per square foot or per cover or what is the wastage that we are doing and how can we control that, right? So from how we want to run our business, we want to bring in efficiencies. And that is something that is a big plus. There's a lot of investment that has gone into the analytical tools, as well as there's a lot of investment that has gone into the design element of restaurants. So there are teams that actually fly down and they sort of spend time with the ownerships and they want to invest or advise as to what will bring in efficiencies when we are designing a new restaurant, right? So that helps us make sure that the profitability aspect that we're looking for is generated. Having said that, the second aspect, the adaptability aspect, yes, a standalone has the ability to adapt or change its style of service quickly, whilst for us, there's a lot of investments already gone into the asset, it's gone into the restaurant, there's a lot of thought that has gone into designing of the menu, in the marketing of or launch of the menu or of the restaurant. It is not that simple that in 6 months we want to change it. Right.
So even if a consumer preference you feel is changing, would you be willing to change as fast?
So the consumer preference, looking at what happened in the last couple of years, right? The biggest consumer preference that is coming back, or we are seeing or reading about, is that they want to have a healthy option, right? They are very clear of how we as operators or restaurateurs are making sure that the food is healthy. It is giving them options like, for example, vegan is big now, right? And they're not looking at large menus. They're actually looking at simpler and straightforward menus, right? Which brings it, and also they're looking at more local food. They're not looking at greasy or food that is not that they probably would have had in their younger days, right? So they're asking for more seasonal, organic, fresh food. And yes, what he picked up on about sustainability, they're very, very clear that as a hotel and as an operator, are we making sure that we are not wasting food?
Yeah, and that brings me, Aman, and I'll discuss this with you. I think sustainability, we all know, is big. If you look at customers, I mean, all our customers, all our top clients, if you today talk to them, everybody wants to know, what are you doing in terms of sustainability? Do you lose sleep over sustainability as an operator? Do you wake up in the morning thinking that, what are the sustainable initiatives that we can do? Maybe food and beverage, since we're talking about food.
So as we know, ITC Hotels has been a pioneer. I've been thinking EHS and sustainability for decades now. And all our premium luxury hotels and Welcomhotels are LEED Platinum certified. We've got 6 hotels in our kitty which are LEED zero carbon. Our food and beverage sustainability program too started off many years ago as part of our responsible luxury initiative. So we introduced a lot of concepts both in banquets as well as in restaurants, which have been very well appreciated by our guests. So our welcome meal, for example, is a single diner menu option where it gets a large variety of dishes, be it Indian, regional Indian, Asian, Western. Chooses that. He has an experience of multiple dishes in small portion sizes. There is a program called the Local Love or the Welcome Sthalika, which is the local food, where everything is procured locally, fresh seasonal ingredients are used, offering the guests the choice of having authentic regional food in the premises of the hotel. Or Alert Meets is a program in banquets where again we serve menus which are curated, which don't induce sleep coma in a conference. Or One Bite Wonders, where appetizers are passed around in very small, delectable presentations. So we have been pursuing this for many, many years now as part of our responsible luxury initiative. And every single day, the entire team at IDC Hotels is constantly looking at ways how we can be planet positive in our day-to-day activities. So that's an ongoing effort. And we, yes, wake up every morning thinking what more can we do and how more can we make our business more sustainable without compromising on luxury, of course.
So to this panel and
Monisha, to your point, I think to your question, I would love to hear the fact that we are losing sleep over sustainability, because I feel that principally the future and 23 and after and even today, it's going to make a huge impact in the way our consumers choose us. And if we do not bring that into our day-to-day lives, I think we would be lagging behind and not doing what is expected of us. But at the same time, we'd start to lose behind on our revenues as well.
yeah, and you know, Gaurav, the reason why I bring this point is because I think every hotel brand is doing a lot. You know, when I was speaking to you even earlier, and of course ITC, I was aware also, and with every brand, I was very much aware that there's a lot which is being done in terms of sustainability. The question is, we do a lot internally. Is this being communicated to the customer? How is this message going out? So, Javed?
Thank you. You know, about sustainability, I don't think it's distinctive anymore. There is more similarity. In fact, everybody has the same goals about net zero by 2050, 30% reduction by next 2-3 years, and so on. I think, and of course, no single-use plastics. And here, there's also the question of, you know, dispenser. I found it very hard, I'll admit, to accept that dispensers are okay in, you know, fine hotels. But now we accept them. And I think that wastage is certainly one of the things, side effects that it has, pleasant side effect. So be it. I think that's all right. These are okay. But I missed your question. Didn't I?
It's about communicating it to the customer.
Okay, communicating to the customer is very obvious. I think, you know, it's not communicating, it's listening, really. I think what's happening is that a result, I mean, much of this has come out as listening to the customer. So in the public space, it's tracked as to what the customer is saying, positive, negative, neutral, and, you know, by keyword as to what they're talking about. And also there's solicited questions on the survey that I guess says, and also information about it. But I think that you're not in contention in many cases. To be in contention, you ought to have that. Else you'll be out. You will not even be considered. So I think there's no choice about it. That's just the way it is.
Thank you. So because of paucity of time, I'm going to quickly run a couple of questions, you know. One being that what trend as a brand are you looking at capitalizing on in 2023? Because we're talking about opportunities in 2023. So as a brand, what is that one thing, that new trend that you feel that you will capitalize on and you're preparing for?
So as a trend, we are obviously capitalizing on the fact that the customer, whether leisure or business, they're well aware of where they want to stay. They're well aware, or they actually want to stay at a company or at a hotel or at a property which is a responsible company, right? They are very important for them. It is very important as to where they're spending their top dollar, and they want to be part of the contribution towards looking after the planet where we all live in. So it's for us, it is very important that we as a brand are committed towards making sure that we are doing enough, whether it is for our people, whether it is for the community, or whether it is for the planet, right? So just taking a cue from the sustainability aspect, it is important that it becomes a part of our DNA. And that is where these days, what we can see, the guests or customers are wanting to travel and stay, because if you look at RFPs, or if you look at even OTAs, all of them are asking, what are you doing as a brand to make sure that you are responsible?
So you will really work on the sustainability.
Absolutely.
2023 for
Absolutely.
IG is going to be sustainability.
That's correct.
Fabulous. Gaurav, Marriott.
I think you can't move sustainability out. So that's going to stay. But I also feel you need to become more agile, more adaptable, faster in what you do every day that you're moving on. At the same time, I feel that we are at that cusp where, as Vishvapreet said, we are the customers are very knowledgeable and they know what they want. And today we need to be responsible. I totally agree with that. At the same time, I think we need to also be able to localize our efforts, whether it's localization in the offering that we have, whether it's in localization in the food that we provide, or the food that we procure, or the digital technology that we use, or the gateways that we are punching into. Almost everything needs to get localized, and that has the ability of giving better returns. Eventually, companies like us, with Marriott, it is about being able to provide our owners a better return for their investment. And if we are unable to do that without putting in the efforts to localize our initiatives, we will only land up paying more for something that is available locally. So I think those are trends that will continue to be. To me, it's responsible, sustainable, agile, and local.
So those are the opportunities you'll work on in 2023. Javed, what about you?
Shall we break the sequence and give it over?
Okay, you both are going to say the same thing.
Okay, so and just to admission, there was this forecast or belief that coming out of pandemic, normalcy as seen as 2019 would be achieved in 24. So glad that we got it wrong. That's one. And we happily latched onto, if you're asking, what are you going to continue or leverage? The discovery, the drivable distances has become a very interesting way to take a holiday. So we have something called the Radisson India road trip, which I've done on my own. It works. Every 4 hours or so, you have one of our hotels, with 1 or 2 exceptions. That's one. Secondly, so we're leveraging that, of course, and other companies are too. EV chargers in hotels are really something that everybody likes. And, in keeping, with my reputation as a high maintenance husband, I hope that I will get an EV too. So apply to the wife. So, so that's, it's easy to take a holiday, multiple holidays. Long weekends are big deals. So, and I'm glad that the horizon is, you kept it to 23. And it's not that easy, especially when you're making a budget in the middle of the year for, December next year. We know how easy that is. So, to get right. So it's not that short a horizon. But I think that there are great opportunities in 23. And if we're looking at Rising Star and so on, I think the star is already risen. And it's not a question of how, the question is, how long will it last? And experience has shown me, I'm fairly long in the tooth, that the cycle is a series of ups and downs. That's the way it goes. We're just hoping that the upside lasts longer and longer. And it has, and I think that, and I hope that this time it lasts longer than the previous time, and that the lows are not as low. That's the sense, but it's bound to happen. So great opportunities, lots of long weekends, lots of auspicious days, and lots of weekends for communities like mine, which don't wait for auspicious days to get married.
So Javed, thank you. I think
even
like I remember in our earlier panel, Mr. Rahul Pandit mentioned that McKinsey had said that it's for India, it's going to be not a decade, but a century. So, I'm sure lots of weekends, at least 2023, it's all about weekends at the Radisson, right? Your close places, and you're going to capitalize on that opportunity. What about the ITC, Amaan?
Yes, I think in addition to continuing our journey on planet positive initiatives and sustainability, I think talent management is something which is key, because there is a dearth of talent today, in good talent in the industry. So that is something which would be an area of focus. In addition to, of course, digitalization. How can technology help us in enhancing guest experience? How can technology help us in making our operations simpler, in making administration simpler, tasks are reduced through technology? So I think those are 2 areas of key focus personally, I think, for the year 2023.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much. And I can see time's up. And Bhuvnesh had mentioned that he'll glare at me if in case I go above the time limit. But ladies and gentlemen, I think the best thing is that, this is the group These are the operators who will take us into a very successful 2023. We chose to speak more positive things about, because we've just come out of a pandemic. As an industry, we have survived the worst that I think any one of us has seen. And if we can survive this, I'm sure managing talent is something that we can easily do. Dilip and I, we've had many conversations about this. It breaks my heart when sometimes in Dilip's school, you hear students say that we'd love to go to a hotel school, but then take a job somewhere else in some other industry. I think all of us over here, we need to ensure that we are able to keep them in this absolutely phenomenal industry where all of us have been and we've grown from. I think there's a question. See, I'm so petrified of Bhuvnesh. I'm actually trying to find him in this group. He's right there. Okay, there's one question.
We've been talking about opportunities. We've been talking about talent management. One of the challenges one faces is retaining young professionals. You see, what has been observed is that despite talking about opportunities in this hospitality industry and 23, why is it that question? Why is it that young professionals, youth coming out of the institutes, when they join or they don't join, they are diversifying into other professions, you see. Is it what they are learning and what the industry demand, as is awareness, or they are not aware of their opportunities? This has been seen today, and especially post-COVID, that youth is diversifying. I met a 4-year degree holder working in Louis Vuitton showroom. I said, why did you switch? He says, better opportunity, better perks. Here, what's the reason? Question to you. Likewise, I met somebody in Bose. All these people are diversifying. They say there are no career opportunities. So what's the way forward? Thank you.
Would you like
So what's your question?
question?
What's your question?
The question is,
Why is
why
it-
is it that the younger generation chooses to leave us and go to another industry for better opportunities? Why is it? We also give equal opportunities. Yeah.
Monisha, we spoke about this, and I feel growth is a major factor in the decision of this individual. If you give them if you chart a growth plan, then they are going to stay with you. At the same time, you're talking about attracting talent. It's one's choice, right? I don't think we'll be able to define that choice by saying we are better. I think there is a lot of work that can be done. Academia and the industry can work together to help, and is doing that work. But I don't think there is one right answer to this. I feel that we need to constantly make effort, and we'll probably keep making some inroads. Javed, I guess you want.
Thanks. What I'd like to say, sir, is that so it is with every industry. You have doctors who become IAS, who become engineers, who become finance and analysts, and what have you, make piles of money, which is all right. I think that what matters is it empowers the exposure to hotel industry, makes you versatile, and you realize your options, which is all right. I say, to somebody who wants to work anywhere, come and work come and study in hotels. Of course, it's our loss. But it also is a gain when they come back. Often they come back when they realize that they'll never be the CEO or the MD of this company. And my batchmates, many of them are actually MDs of hotel companies, not that they exited, but many have exited. It's a high attrition sort of academic scenario, but that's just the way it is. Much more than others, I admit that.
So
I
I'd
think it's
like
all
to,
Ms.
Yeah.
Dewan, I'm here, ma'am.
Yeah.
So I'm representing Mr. Khanna.
I-
So आप उन नजरों से आप देख सकती हो.
I think there's one more question. Yes, one more question.
I'm going to ask
I know,
a
Mr. Khanna.
politically incorrect question to the panel. We have enough homegrown hotel brands. Is there a figure of how much money we send out to all the foreign brands from India? No, Mr. Puri will explain.
So he's asking that we have sufficient number of Indian brands in India and all the international brands. Does anybody estimate how much of fees do they remit outside of India?
Dilip, I'm not going to answer about how much the amount is, but I really must say this, because been with this industry now for so many years. I remember, like I said, very proudly, I say this, that, I remember when Ma'am Chopra had even hired me. I think even whether it's a foreign brand, whether, the name is a foreign brand, at the end of the day, it's all Indians who are running it. So I really look at it, because I hear this a lot. I hear this a lot at times, saying that, oh, you know what, you're an international brand. I mean, I was dealing with the government the other day and, they said, but you're an international brand. I said, yes, but I wear a sari. I'm an Indian and we are all Indians here. The fee that we give is very marginal. The opportunity that they're giving us is brilliant. We run this space. So, the thing is that I genuinely feel, and even so answering your question, I really feel, I mean, and like I mentioned when I was with the government, they got 3-4 ladies over there who walked in and the gentleman said that, these are women who have actually, they've passed out from IIT, IIMs, young girls, they must have been, 25 or 30 at the most. And the government is using them for helping them with startups and all kinds of projects. And you know what I suddenly realized? That so many years back when I joined this hospitality industry, I joined it because of the purpose it gave me. I loved the thought of hospitality. I loved the thought of creating dreams and memories for people. I loved the fact that I was associated with a brand which actually taught me so much. They taught me how to represent myself, how to represent our country, our hospitality. I think that purpose is what we need to show, sir, to our younger generation, that what is it that we stand for? Who are we? And what hoteliering is all about. The day they find the purpose, like how the government managed to get IIT IIMs who left Goldman Sachs jobs and are doing it at maybe 60% lesser salaries, we'll be able to get people. It's not the money, it's the purpose. I'm sorry, I know Bhuvnesh is looking at me. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for your time. Thank you so much, such a pleasure. Thank you.